Button has been pressed, and hello, welcome, good morning to episode 120 of Dissonant Waves.
Hello.
Yeah.
Trix and Ritz and Dominic are all here.
I am speaking into a new microphone today.
Yes. After the weirdness of last week, Trix has a temporary solution for her problems.
Yes.
Yep, stealing someone else's shit.
Yep.
And boy,
So
oh
that be
boy,
that the lesson, kids.
Steal.
Stealing is cool.
Feeling is cool.
Sphealing is
It's
cool.
fun. We did not talk about the Spheal. There was no questions about the design and the seams on this plush. And
A photo of the
male.
plush. We got to make a photo of the plush for the album art for this week or the episode.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah, do I need to tilt it so people can see the I need to actually just post this shit to
Yeah,
you
please
two
post
right
a photo.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know this Pokemon.
The
Gen
context
3.
The context of this whole shit right now is that I've noticed that the way that the seams look on this fucking Pokemon plush, which I picked up for like $10 off eBay, so it's like a fucking Chinese knockoff anyway. It's not really, but it kind of conspicuously down in the crotch area, and you know that episode of Bob's Burgers with the My Little Pony fandom and how they're all obsessing over that one pony because of its defect. That's a very specific defect, and that's about as much as I'm going to say about this one because I don't know if I'm comfortable doing the direct description of this.
I have not seen that episode, but that sounds like it's inspired off of a real My Little Pony plush that was produced that had like a fucking ass pocket.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it was kind of similar to that. Anyway, finally showing over the photo to you two.
Yes.
But whilst that happens, we have a couple albums to talk about as well this week. This is not just a Pokemon sex toy chat. This is also actually a music chat.
Yes. And we have a ton to talk about. We have a couple albums by Rush, our farewell to Kings and Hemispheres. I have chosen the Avalanches album Wildflower, as well as a bunch of EPs by a Chicago artist called Gnosis is Alive. And Ritz has chosen a never erased compilation of a lot of queer, LGBT, trans artists and bands, as well as some EPs by Thelma Plum, the Wombats, and Tropical Fuckstorm.
Indeed.
I've now shared the plush as well.
And the coloring looks off, but I don't know if that's just the coloration of the image or...
It's also dark in my room.
Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with that Pokemon, lads.
It's a good pokey.
Yeah. It literally, like, the two things about this Pokemon is that it just rolls around to move everywhere, basically. And whenever it's happy, it just keeps clapping its flippers.
Honestly, a mood.
Yep.
It's a good Pokemon.
It is a good Pokemon, which is why I'm not so happy about that little fault at the bottom there.
Anyway, is it weird that we've covered the Cygnus X1 saga and 2 Avalanche albums together?
No.
We first visited the Cygnus X1 saga that is on both Farewell to Kings and Hemispheres when we did the original Avalanches album. And now here we are with our third visit to the Avalanches, their second album, Wildflower, with both of them. And it's kind of a fun little throwback that I don't think any of us really intended.
Yeah.
Is it weird? No, because it's the same 3 people choosing everything, except I guess in this time you chose the Avalanche. I didn't.
Yeah. I chose AFI that week.
Yeah, maybe I should have picked AFI, huh?
That'd been really
fun. Did they have anything out this year? Did they have anything out this year?
Probably.
Probably not. Sorry. Anyway. No, it's bound to happen. We'll get something like that eventually one week. Surprised it's only happened 120 episodes in.
Did they do anything? They don't seem to have anything out this year. They had something last year. I'm shocked. Anyway, enough about AFI for another time. What do you want to talk about this week first? Anyone have any suggestions?
Well, you remember how we had, I'm pretty sure you, Dominic, picked the whole of the order last week?
Yeah.
Well, now that someone's got a better mic, let's let Trix pick the whole order this week.
Okay, let's start off with Rush, I guess, because these are some of my favorite albums.
Yeah. Hemispheres is the best Rush album that we listened to so far.
Oh, easily. It is my favorite Rush album.
You remember how there was a lot of people who would always talk about how The Trees was a very meaningful song, and then Rush would
Yeah.
come out and say that they were just really high and watch the cartoon and made a song about it.
Yeah,
That's my favorite Rush song background.
Yeah, I mean, lot of weed, a lot of Neil Peart reading Ayn Rand.
If
Ayn Rand, however the fuck you pronounce her, that fucking
I watched a movie that was like a documentary about Rush like a long time ago, and basically half the time when it comes about descriptions about their songs and stuff, they will actually just keep going. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We'll just
yeah, there was a story about how Rush opened for Joan Jett or vice versa, and like Joan Jett was offended at like Rush for some reason, and like they pissed all over their instruments, and Rush was too high to notice.
And then you have stories like, they wrote Cinderella Man because Geddy Lee really likes the movie Mr. Deeds Goes to Town.
Yeah.
See,
and
I
like to always put
out
going bald.
Well, the fun thing about Joan Jett as well is that every time like there's a rock and roll playlist on Spotify and stuff like that, you know, they always add Joan Jett on there. And when someone was like, "Oh, look at the Spotify rock playlist and stuff," I saw it, and I was like, "Yeah, like, if they've got Joan Jett on there, I disregard it." And I get constantly asked why, and it's not just a case of I personally don't like her music as well like that. You know that a lot of people do not actually know about the rape controversy.
I didn't even know there was one.
There's a controversy?
She wasn't a rapist, but whilst her bandmates were getting raped, those same bandmates have claimed that she was in the room laughing.
Oh,
that's not fun.
That is not fun at all.
Yeah, it's one of those things that a lot of people do not know about, but it's kind of like once you know about it. Oh, cool! It's about to storm badly here.
Yeah, we heard that.
Yeah, that's. I actually don't know if I can explain that better.
Yeah, that was very loud. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go close the window. Give me seconds here. Yeah, Hemispheres.
Yes. But yeah, I really enjoyed coming back to these two. The Cygnus saga in general. But I love that we circle back now to finally cover the rest of it.
Yeah.
God. Cygnus Part 2 has my favorite Rush just riff. It's just the main riff is so good.
Yeah.
It's very hypnotic and wavy in a way that I really, really dig.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
And then La Villa Strangiato, whatever you say.
La Villa Strangiato.
Strangiato. It's also very, very good. It's like one of the best instrumental songs I've ever heard.
It is fucking phenomenal. Just that guitar solo in 5/4 where he's just doing volume swells. Oh god.
Like the Spanish guitar in the beginning, but the part where he's basically just doing the assembly line theme from the Warner Brothers cartoons and what I think is Megalovania, but no one seems to agree with me.
I do not agree with you on that, but I guess.
I mean, I feel like if Toby Fox were being inspired by anything, it would be something like that.
Yeah.
Which one are we're talking about first? I just got back in. Closing my windows.
We're kind of talking about Hemispheres, but I mean, we could talk about both. I kind of consider them being one album in a way.
They pretty much are. They were recorded separately, but it's one album really.
Yeah, I decided to listen to the album that had part 2 on it first.
I don't blame. It's the better album. I don't blame you.
Nah, I mean, I'm always a real basic fucking Rush fan, so it's just like when it comes to which one do I like more, yeah, I'd probably go like, oh, maybe I'm a Moving Pictures or a fucking 2112 fan. But if you ask me, definitely which one's the better one to, yeah, it's Hemisphere.
Yeah, I just think the Farewell, Hemispheres, and Permanent Waves, that's their peak, and Hemispheres is just the best.
Yeah.
I guess that also makes me a very basic Rush fan, which is totally fine.
There's nothing wrong with being basic. I mean, it's pretty much every Rush fan's favorite for a reason.
After Trix picked Taylor Swift, I don't think you can get any more basic on this podcast.
Yeah,
we can try.
I kind of brought the basic.
We can try.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you did pick
Lava. Next album we're doing is fucking Justin Bieber.
We're gonna do like a Justin Bieber, Bastille, and like something else.
The problem is that if you had picked Justin Bieber and stuff, that's one that you can say easily was picked ironically or something. It was
Damn.
a lot of fun.
Damn. I like this vibe. I should invest in some rain effects for the background.
Yeah, it was fucking
honestly,
great.
yeah.
But you have to pick something that's like so stuck in the era that it was that bringing it back would surely be a whole. This isn't ironic. This has to be just a truly basic take to even think to want to do that. And for that reason, I believe it has to be a Black Eyed Peas album.
Oh yes.
I got a feeling
that tonight's gonna be a good night.
Or even the other one that you could pick, but I don't think it would have the basicness to it just because of the controversy to remember, is that one where Will I Am stole every fucking piece of music without crediting or asking.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or we just pick Iggy Pop and Iggy Azalea and call it a gay.
That might actually be an interesting episode, Iggy Pop and Iggy Azalea.
And then we do Azalea Banks as the third one.
Yes.
Why listen to Azalea Banks music when you have a more interesting time just going through controversies page?
Because of the names, Iggy Pop, Iggy Azalea, and Azalea Banks.
Yeah.
I know, but why listen to the music when you just go through the controversy? You can still bring her up, just don't even bring an album.
But bark and bite matter.
Which is the country that she has a feud with again?
Oh man, I don't know. It's been years since I've bothered with Azalea Banks.
I'd say let's go up. The controversy fan. The entire nations of both Ireland and Sweden.
Oof. You shouldn't fuck with Ireland, I don't think, but...
my mic isn't picking up my laughs.
Hey, it's dialed in. Anyway, God, Hemispheres is great. I don't really care even about the circumstances of the trees as much. Like, those are there. Those are fine.
Yeah.
For a 4-track album...
I saw the trees live.
Mm-hmm.
Good tune.
Oh, I believe it.
Like, Farewell to Kings has good tracks as well. Like, Closer to the Heart's a classic.
I cannot fucking stand Explosive Taco Fart. I mean, Closer to the Heart, I'm gonna be honest.
It's fine.
It is. I can easily understand why it's like one of the more popular ones on here, because it is probably a more accessible one. But it's like, yeah, it's pretty cheesy even for Rush standards.
From what I'm remembering, it wasn't written by anybody in the band. It was written by like some Canadian poet or something.
It is credited to Neil Peart and Peter Talbot.
Yes.
So Peart did have a hand in it.
Yeah. And I mean, that 12-string riff is pretty iconic.
Oh, yeah, the beginning that sounds like Here Comes the Sun?
Yeah, a little bit. I see that.
Plus, isn't it also like the one that they played at the South Park concert?
They did Tom Sawyer at the South Park concert, I think.
I'm pretty sure they did 2 songs. I think they did Closer to the Heart.
That sounds about right. They played the South Park video when I saw them live.
Yeah, that would have been fucking great.
But I'm almost kind of blown away. Like, coming back to this 3 years later, pretty much, how much I don't care as much about Cygnus X1 Book 1.
Yeah, it just kind of sets it up. Right. And then it's like having to read The Hobbit to really understand The Lord of the Rings.
Which is impressive, given that it's just 2 songs over half an hour.
Yes.
Where one is just the setup, and it's like, yeah, this is cool, this is fine. And the other one's like, yeah, fucking yeah.
Cygnus X1 Book 1 does have, like, the highest note that Geddy Lee has ever hit, though.
And it's mixed, like it's mixed pretty low, though, so it's like, eh.
Yeah. But it's still impressive, the note he hit. It was like an E sharp 5 or something. Which is, like, well out of, like, the supposed male vocal range.
I mean, having higher vocals does make you kind of stand out. Like...
Oh, yeah.
By the way, just a confirmation, they didn't play Tom Sawyer at the concert. They played only Closer to the Heart, from what I can see. It's probably another one that I'm not noticing is a Rush song in there. Yeah. Good albums.
Yeah. I feel like they were being too, like, self-conscious, calling La Vida Strangliato an exercise in self-indulgence. Because, yeah, but, like, it's good.
I could listen to La Via Strangiato all day. I fucking love that tune.
Like, those 2 songs are easily probably my 2 favorite Rush songs.
It's, like, agreed upon as, like, one of the best Rush songs of all time. It's fully agreed that it's their best instrumental.
I love reading about how long it took to produce Hemispheres versus everything else they were working on at the time. Like, I think 2112 was 5 weeks, Farewell to Kings was 4 weeks, and this was 2 months.
Yeah.
And they said they had done more time recording just La Via String Giotto than they did recording Fly By Night entirely.
Yeah.
I'm a bit
Fucking
real.
ass.
Yeah, I'm a bit real. I got nothing really to say that hasn't already been said here.
Rush kicks ass.
Yeah, YouTube bring on a band long enough, you'll make me a fan of it. It seems like. I think that's kind of what we do to each other.
Yeah, we Stockholm
Yeah.
syndrome each other into bands.
We haven't quite gotten Ritz into Shaky Graves yet, but
yeah, and
We're
I'll
working
still
on it.
argue
We're
that
working on it.
I'm not really into Petite League before Rattler still, so
we did get you more with Love Montreal though.
Yeah.
yeah, but I never hated of Montreal.
Not
Like
that you
I already known of Montreal before this, and I was already a Skeletal Lamping fan before this podcast.
That's fair.
I
knew Rush before this.
before the podcast.
Oh, that's wild. Montreal was so instrumental for me growing up. But even then, I mean, I heard of Rush. I was never a fan of Rush. You know, it's like, oh, they're all about Ayn Rand and objectivism and oh, Tom Sawyer.
I'm pretty sure my father like propped me up like right out of the womb to the speaker and just was like, listen to this.
My mom did that, but with Santana.
Not a bad choice.
I don't even remember what my dad would have propped me up to listen to. My earliest memories of listening to music are the Tarzan soundtrack and like Weird Al's American Pie riff, one that's about Star Wars.
Yeah, it was. Wasn't it literally just the whole of Phantom Menace?
Yeah, I mean that was the era, so it was fitting.
Yeah.
And then Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, that all came out, and I was hooked. My mind was as far from something like Rush as could be, but here we are, 20-something years later.
Favorites and least favorites?
I'll start. Favorites off of Farewell to Kings, Xanadu. We haven't even mentioned Xanadu, which I feel like we have to just touch briefly on Xanadu. Good tune. This is their
right.
this is the song. That's the song where they both played double necks live, and like you can hear in the mix where Alex Lifeson starts playing the foot pedals and Geddy Lee switches to the 12 string. It's pretty interesting.
That's cool.
I like Xanadu. I don't think I really have a least favorite. No, Closer to the Heart's my least favorite off that album. Favorites off of Hemispheres, and La Via Strangiato. Least favorite, Circumstances.
I'm going to fully agree with you on Hemispheres because The Trees is good, but it's like not really the highlight of that album.
No, it's not. It's like a fun like sampler of the album though.
Yeah. A Farewell to Kings. I don't really have a strong favorite or least favorite to be honest. I don't think it was thing as Hemispheres, but still a good album. Favorite, I'll probably just be lazy and just agree actually fully with Trix. Because Closer to the Heart's definitely not really a good example of what a Farewell to can be.
Yeah.
I will agree with Ritz so much as in that I agree on everything with Hemispheres. The beginning and ending tracks are amazing. The 2 middle tracks, they're all right. The Trees is better. The Trees is weirder. Farewell to Kings. Xanadu's fine. I like Closer to the Heart. Otherwise, I don't really have an opinion either way. It's just a vibe record.
Yeah.
All right, Trix, what are we picking next?
Let's go for the one that I really didn't have the most to say about, much to say about at all, because it kind of just got lost in my cough syrup fever dream that was this week, and that's the Avalanches.
Yeah, I figured you would probably still have your prejudice against the Avalanches and kind of leave it to the cough syrup.
I'm fully blaming the cough syrup on this one. I have no memory of this album at all, and I listened to it a couple times.
Well, I would introduce it, but I didn't pick it. So, Dominic?
The Wildflower is the second album by the Avalanches, coming 15, 16-ish years after their first one, Since I Left You. It was pretty much in the works that entire time in different stages, and they had other projects going that they kind of had canceled or just culled different aspects of, and kind of brought it all together into this expansive hour-plus extravaganza that has a lot of features, a lot of guests, a lot of recognizable samples, much more so than Since I Left You. A lot of surprising, just people just credited everywhere. And it's definitely them trying to do what they do, more hip hop influenced, and like now that they have a name, how far can they take it?
I actually have a story about this album now that I think about it. Um, I remember when this album came out because my mom was dating a guy who was really huge into the Avalanches, and he was
Okay.
just super fucking stoked about this album. And yeah, my mom broke up with him because he was like a hardcore QAnon guy.
Oof.
Yeah, I would not take this album as a QAnon album, though. I feel like that's just.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's just all I can remember about this album.
So I mean, so we got a lot of people on this. MF Doom is there, Kevin Parker's there, Danny Brown, Bismarcky, Taro Imoa,
Yep.
Camp Lo, David Berman, Father John Misty in the mix, and then a lot of stuff that got cut
there's
too.
a lot.
A lot of things got cut because, like I said, they were mostly making this in the last few years of it releasing, but they had a lot of aspects that were in the works this entire time. I believe it was which one? Let me look at my notes. One of them was like pretty much the first thing they worked on after Since I Left You, and it survived this entire time.
I think if I'm correct as well, the song that uses the sample, I believe it's the Noisy Eater out of all of them, which has the incredible feat of being allowed to use, and just with the licensing and everything, so it's not just having used, being allowed to and licensed, a fucking Beatles sample.
Yeah, apparently they had to talk to Paul McCartney and Yoko Ono directly to get that.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it's not even used strongly, but it's like used enough in there.
So apparently, Saturday Night Inside Out, it comes from a mixtape that they put out in 2000. Now, I mean, obviously it's been reworked a bit because the David Berman stuff I think came later, but like I said, this isn't stuff they've been working on a long time, and I think it was like Noisy Eater is a good example of a thing that I believe was being used for a different project, and then that project fell apart. I'm like, well, we still have all of this. Let's try to make it into something else.
So, I've talked a little bit about it, and like in passing about this album, and specifically what I've also talked a little bit about is my rankings of 2016. And for those who probably can't remember or never watched or listened to those episodes where I would have mentioned it, or if I've just somehow forget to mention it, but I believe I have. This was my favorite back when I was doing all the top 10s and stuff. 2016, I went to this album and I said, "You're the best." And do I still agree that this album is number one? Well, first off, I don't go back and look at all the albums I knew in 2016 and think that this was a bad choice. And then second off, I think the only reason why this wouldn't be is because albums like Animal have come up more in my rotation as well, to the point in which it's not this album's ever lowered in quality for me, it's just that others have caught up with it. I still think this is a pretty fucking great record.
So, I guess my thoughts really are that this is my least favorite of the three. And
that's the wrong take.
I like that it does the thing again that Since I Left You kind of did, and that it's kind of cohesive and kind of the hour-long experience. And I've read a lot about how it's like, kind of taking you from an urban setting to a much more rural, more free and loving setting, kind of country-ish or whatever, toward the end. And that's cool. I dig the kind of loose concept idea of that. But I feel like the songs themselves, there are some good ones there, but as a whole, I don't think they stand out as much as Since I Left You or We Will Always Love You. Like,
full disagree. Just I this is obviously opinion based and everything like that, but whenever I get a strong opinion, the whole point of having a podcast is to say it. So when I say that your opinion is wrong and that you have to go home, you don't have to take that personally. You just have to take it. No, I fully disagree. I know the songs might not be, say, as a standout as, say, like Live at Domino's or a or Frontier Psychiatrist are, which those ones kind of more grabbier on here. But realistically, like this was weird for a lot of people when this album first came out, because when the Avalanches had only had one album and it was so long ago, you're expecting that they're just going to do exactly the same thing again. And it's only going to be a full album with nothing but samples and stuff like this. But instead, they went really collab heavy on this.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's still obviously samples on this album that make up a lot of things. And some of them are just from these, like, they used obviously like the big kind of theme about this album when it's called Wildflower is that there's a lot of 70s kind of, or 70s and 60s kind of vibes going on. Whether or not it actually be the sounds is a different thing. It's trying to get the kind of whole vibe of kind of nostalgia going into here, but yet has kind of like this huge hip hop take on it as well, which sounds a lot more modern. I mean, the actual big samples in the first couple songs are these stuff that they just found from like random record crates of soul singers, basically. Like the Frankie Sinatra is just this random. I can't remember who it was.
Wilmoth Houdini.
Yeah, which I don't know who that was. Maybe that was a bit more important in the United States or something like that. But it's just it's song singing about Frank Sinatra, and it's turned into then Danny Brown rapping about as much drugs as possible, which is practically every Danny Brown song.
Yeah, I mean, Wilmoth Houdini is a really great example of like the things that they do, because they sampled his song Bobby Sox Idol, which is from 1947, and he died in like 73, so this is someone who's been gone for a long time being revived in the way that they've done before. And I think Frankie Sinatra's a really great track. That's one of the ones that stands out. That and Because I'm Me, of course, really great opening.
Yeah, Because I'm Me is just like because that one wasn't a single as well. Like the only two songs. Oh, there was a couple songs, sorry, that were a single on here. Frankie Sinatra was the first single. That actually has an extended outro and a single in which instead of kind of like falling out, it kind of goes back and does the chorus one more time before it ends on a register noise being played. Subways was a single as well, and then Colors and If I Was a Folk Star were both released prior to the album as well. And this is just what I'm remembering off the top of my head, because I remember when this was getting announced and this is all coming out, me and my brother were both fucking stoked. So we were basically just following the release of this. And surprisingly as well, I had a uni friend who had never heard of the Avalanches. Like they were big into producing stuff, but in their kind of own like EDM kind of way, but they had never heard of the Avalanche. So this was actually their first introduction to them as well, and they were down for it. I mean, it's the Avalanches here. If you don't like them, you don't pass citizenship. Colors, I remember they announced, and they said it was the first song that they had ever released that used no samples, and then that they had actually just not even created the song. They found it at the end of the rainbow. That was their official statement.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, yeah, that's cool. Like they just did it with Jonathan Donahue of Mercury Rev, and that's it. Like, yeah, there's no credited samples. There's nothing. It's just a song that they did, kind of like Kaleidoscopic Lovers, which was another one of my favorites. Like, I like songs on here quite a bit. Like Because I'm Me and Frankie Sinatra, love it. Chef's Kiss, but then I'm like, okay, Noisy Eater stands out really well. I like Kaleidoscopic Lovers, but some of the stuff in between there, it's kind of just really, for me, incidental, instrumental.
If I'm hearing any slander towards Subways or If I Was a Folk Star, I'm going to cry.
Well, so what's the appeal of If I Was a Folk Star? What is the appeal?
It's so fucking chill, man.
It's fair.
Nice. It's really nice. Tori Waimori has very great vocals on this and hits them well. It's not supposed to be like this song that's supposed to stand out like every other the fucking rap song that does on here, because not every song needs.
That's true.
It's like it's a nice little kind of like, yeah, you do have songs on here which are like interlude songs. Avalanches do that. They need to get a way to flow into that. So if you're gonna ask what's the point of Going Home, it's to keep the album sounding like it's a continuous experience, because that's what the Avalanche trying to do. It's the same with like Zap, and then you start to actually notice, and like when those stuff goes in and you allow it to happen into there, a lot of the songs that are supposed to be the standout songs, you understand kind of why they fit more. Because going from Frankie Sinatra to Subways, I think is actually the biggest. Is the only time where I think there's like a kind of big jarring moment in the flow there, because it kind of stops Frankie Sinatra to go into that kind of more softer, funky sound that Subways does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it does it too naturally on there, and that's the only time in which I go like, okay, this isn't the next logical step for this album to be taking. I'm not going to act so like to say a perfect album regardless of that. Sometimes I do still think with some of the interludes that they are doing, like it's a little like overdone. But sometimes it is kind of just funny to just like and listen to it as well. To actually be quite honest, even though like Colors is like a good fun song that's on here, it's probably actually one of my least favorites on here, because I feel like the true peaks that happen on this album are when something a bit more unexpected, I guess, happens, and then you just find yourself really vibing to it. And Colors, it's not as if it's not an unexpected song, but I could just never really vibe with it as I could vibe with everything else.
Yeah. I mean, like there still is surprising stuff, like Saturday Night Inside Out being like a David Berman reciting poetry moment as kind of like an ending, and it sounds like it's a quote from a movie or something, is really cool, and I dig that quite a bit. And like Step Kids is kind of weird, and I appreciate that it's kind of weird and different and kind of fits and how expansive this album can be, I guess.
I will say as well, a big part of why this is a big album for me in 2016 as well, the amount of times that I've listened to this album just on the way to uni, because practically the whole transit to uni would be just over an hour. So like I could just start it, and then by the time it's finished, it's like, okay, well now I'm very close to uni.
That's cool.
Great timing. I'm telling you right now, with my speed, I timed so much shit, not by actual time, but by album length. And yeah,
I've gotten that.
The walk from my house back then to the train station at my speed, and you know, because I wasn't walking so fast or anything like that, it would be a lot quicker for me now. But it was exactly Fiddler's first album.
Huh. All right.
Did I ever tell the story about how in high school I ran my best mile time because I was competing with myself against the past as a grotesque animal?
That's funny.
That is pretty funny.
Because I hated running a mile. I always did so bad at it. I'm like, fuck. If I could beat this song...
I don't think I ever got below 10 minutes, I'm not going to lie.
I was like, if I could beat this song, then I'll be happy. And I fucking did it. Yeah, the fucking mile run was fucking stupid. But neither here nor there. I guess to me, the other two albums, like, I mean, I don't want to be couching this all on, oh, there's not as much hits. It doesn't leave you emotionally damaged or charged as much as stuff on all the other albums, you know. Yeah. It does. Like, I guess for me, like, there is the cohesiveness still, but it's not the cohesiveness that interests me. It's like I'm kind of checking out for a while and coming back in and checking out and coming back in, you know. It's...
Yeah.
It doesn't hit me the way that the other ones do, and that's not an emotional thing. That's not hitting me with high emotion, hitting me with low emotion. It could do either one, but it's the strength of having that all kind of flow together that always impresses me.
I will say as well, I've listened to Because I'm Me so many times that just basically, if you played the sample, just randomly. That the chorus is basically, I would probably start doing the rap right after it.
Huh.
No matter what.
Is that a challenge?
I'm not going to tell you that I'll get the lyrics right. I'll fucking try it.
If she don't love me, what can I do? Just put on my best pair of shoes because I'm me.
We're not getting copyright strikes. Nah, Dominic, no copyright strike. No copyright strike. Sorry. We'll do this another day.
Fair enough.
It's not fair to do it whilst it's... You know what a true challenge is to do it unexpectedly to me. Doing it right now is just like full unexpected. So like...
Alright, fair enough. I do kind of like The Leaves Were Falling, though, for how weird and short it is as an atmospheric track. It's kind of a weird little baby of a track. It's 15 seconds long.
It's just to kind of like introduce, like start the album, I guess. Like, it's not really a part of Because I'm Me, but it is a part of the album, I guess. You know, it's good that they're happy to just do that, even if it is short and could be added.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I like this album a lot. I liked it then, I like it now. I don't really care what anyone else thinks.
You don't have to.
Say
This album I appreciate. I'm not as in love with as everything else, but I do think it's an achievement. I do think that in a way that they still beat the other record and did something different, but still kept true to what they were trying to do. Even if I don't love it as much, I still think it's on that level as an achievement. I look forward to seeing whatever they do next if they ever do anything again.
Favorites and least favorites?
Because I'm Me, Frankie Sinatra, of course, and Kaleidoscopic Lovers. Least favorite, probably gonna go with like Colors or Live a Lifetime Love, Park Music, somewhere in there.
Favorites, Because I'm Me, Frankie Sinatra, You Walk on the Subways. If I Was a Folk Star, Harmony, Was It of Is, Saturday Night, Inside Out. Least favorite, probably it's either Colors or probably Live a Lifetime Love. It's one of them.
For me, I'm just gonna say I had too much cough syrup when I was 6 this week.
Which should have been the perfect way to experience this album.
It should have been, but I don't remember any of it.
You should have seen the colors in the Wildflowers.
I think that is supposed to be the perfect way. It's not.
Well, I mean, it was Dayquil. It wasn't like I was like fucking chugging walk or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I've heard stories about people on enough cough syrup. That shit can fuck you up in a really fun way.
You don't want to mess with like NyQuil because of the acetaminophen. It'll fuck up your liver. But like,
no, I remember my fucking when I met up with some people from high school. Apparently, they did weed and cough syrup, and they in the same night, and they did it in the amount that's kind of safe. They weren't going overboard, but yet they still woke up and had a massive come down. And the favorite stories is they remembered that they existed because they remembered that they had parents and that Hungry Jack's.
You've told that story before.
I think you have too.
I probably have, yeah.
Well, I only remember because you phrased it the same way that they remembered they existed.
Yeah.
What a way to wake up again.
Yeah.
Anyway, Trix, we have a couple things remaining now to pick, and I believe they're all mine, aren't they?
No, I still have my
something from Domino, and
that's right. That is right. Sorry,
next.
I'm absolutely wrong, and thank you for reminding me. Dominic, Gnosis is alive.
Yes. So, this is a guy that I found on Bandcamp just searching around, just looking for new music last year, probably after we finished up the season last year, or the episode saga, whatever we want to call this, like the year-endness. And, it's just some kid with an acoustic guitar, but something about the way it was recorded and the way he sounded stuck with me a little bit, so I started following him, and he was putting out songs here and there, and then he kind of disappeared for a while. I'm like, I'll circle back around eventually. And then recently, in the last couple weeks, he just sent a message out to the 5 people that follow him on Bandcamp, and it's like, if you could just share my music with like one person, I'd really appreciate it. And then he released Crutches, his latest EP, and he talks about in it how he has something called knee osteochondritis, dissecans, I think it's called. Which is like a joint problem with the knee, like the knees and the bones and the joints, and it's fucking him up, and they have to get like surgery, won't be able to walk for a while, and a lot of stuff's happening, I guess, in his life. And it's like, so a lot's happened, and he's kind of back doing more stuff, and it's got a little more ambitious. The songs are, at least one song's longer than before. But like, I'm also, I was never sure if I was ever going to actually pull the trigger on this, because it's not like he's doing anything special. It's just I like the vibe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the one question here, Dominic, and just answer as honestly as you think you can answer. Is this just something to get validation on whether or not this stuff is fine to listen to, either from you or from him?
What do you mean?
Like, does he just want someone to say, yeah, this is good? Does anyone just want something to say like that, yeah, this is good? Because there is not much else that I can ever say, whether other than, is this good or not? Because, as you said before, it's not really anything.
I guess my goal here was to just, hey, this artist is out there, asked to kind of have his music shared a little bit. That's all I can really do in this position. And like, I guess I'm not looking for this to say, oh, is it good, is it bad? Like, I can't ask that of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I can only be like,
well,
hey,
it's not in a case of actually is this good or bad in a very kind of like scientific report anyway. It's just like, are we here to say, is this good? Because if the question is, and I just answer in either way because fair enough, is this music good? It's fine. Right? His voice is fine. I thought his guitar playing as well. It was very well structured and actually produced for the music it was, which admittedly probably not too complicated to really do that when it's just mostly him and an acoustic guitar. It's not really special. The songwriting's not really grabbing me, but is it fine? Yeah, this is fine. I know this sounds like I'm being really like passive aggressive or anything, but I'm sincerely not trying to be here. It's just really hard to talk about this in a way that we haven't probably talked about anybody with a guitar. So it's me saying if Gnosis is alive, listens to this, if do you like this music and you like doing this, continue because you're good at doing it.
Yeah.
I'm personally not too interested. It's just me. If it plays on in the background, I'll listen. I'll probably even tap my foot. If I saw you at a concert or something like that, I'd clap along and I'd be sincere about it. There's nothing wrong because I think you're talented and I think you're fine. And obviously, you're looking for more people to listen to your music, and that's what everybody's trying to do. And I commend you on that, and I commend you for being honest about it as well. I think those are good qualities to have. I could not really talk about your music right here because it is really hard to kind of just stretch out man with a guitar. I think you're a man, by the way. If I got that wrong, let me know. No, I did no research.
There's no like pronoun confirmation, but from everything I can see, yes. But
yeah. It's hard to stretch that out into like a long conversation. I think I could not. I don't know enough music theory to tell you exactly what you would need to do for whatever your goal is. If you're looking to be more popular, if you're looking to be more artistic. I mean, granted, I have an acoustic guitar as well, and I can't play it for shit. So I definitely cannot tell any constructive criticism on that part. If it is just the whole, you want people to listen to your stuff, and that's really all you care about, then yeah, your stuff's nice.
Yeah.
That's really all I can say. I don't know if I can say anything more.
No, I mean, I think there's potential.
Yes. Sleepwalking is actually a cover.
Oh.
Yes, it is it was a 60s song by a group called Santo and Johnny. And I think it might be like one of those standards, like where it was before. And like it's missing the steel guitar. I'll post a link to the original song.
I mean,
but like
that's the one that sounds
the same.
That's the one that sounds like Earth Angel, pretty much, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I can see that now. And
like it was popular on TikTok for a minute, so that's why.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So I mean, he's like, I never expected this to be a long discussion. I just was like, he's trying to get out there. I'll just do it. Why not?
No, it's fair enough.
And it's not like I'm gonna be here telling you too much about individual tracks. Like, I don't remember a ton of it. It's all kind of melds together in that acoustic, murky, lo-fi way. But
yeah,
I do think there's talent. I do think, there is something here that he could develop into like a nice, somber kind of, in that way that a lot of those, not always solo, but like acoustic solo artists go in, that could be really meaningful and cool to hear as you develop more. I mean,
yeah.
Keep putting shit out. Like, keep putting it out. Like, even if you're calling it, December shits or whatever. Like, he's being, practically self-deprecating half the time anyway. So
yeah.
Reminder that when you have absolutely no label attached to you whatsoever, you can release anything under whatever promo that you want. Therefore, every song that you release could be a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you two have favorites or least favorites, probably.
No.
I will say favorite EP was Windows, and that's where it felt like he started
Yes.
like really figuring shit out.
I was actually going to agree with that.
I agree as well.
Windows was like, oh yeah, this actually is doing pretty well. And Crutches, I think, is second to that. Because Windows has the other singles, Creature and Highway, that I thought, he was actually not bad with. Then I think it's December. Then Gnosis is Alive, the original. Yeah. Good on ya.
Yeah. Keep with it.
Yeah.
My brother just posted a story on his Facebook and it just says ducks and there's 2 ducks walking in the grass.
And I don't want to sound dismissive by saying, yeah, keep with it. Good on you. Like, no, that's all I can really say, because this is a groundwork. This is a framework. You can do more with this. I really want you to.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
It's also like kind of harsh to like listen to this in turn. Like if you have to rank it to everything else we've done, even in that kind of whole like bedroom recording, we just listened to so much that's actually really like the one that I actually want to compare this to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's is Postcard Nowhere.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Because you see, that's in this case, it seems like 2 artists that are completely different. Well, both genres is one, obviously, but points in their music career. And you saw Postcard Nowhere experimented quite a lot and had quite a lot of different sounds on the album. And that was an album as well. These are all EPs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, a big difference as well, for a reminder for a lot of people, is that a lot of the artists that you have seen nowadays that have been popular for years and years before the internet blew up, their first releases weren't what you think their first releases are. They all had demo tapes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is kind of where
they all sounded as generic as they could have been. I mean, the Violent Soho, I remember that the singer from Tired Lion, who's in a relationship with Luke Boredom, and posted the demo tape, and they were called something like Goodbye Hollywood or something like that, or some kind of really edgy name for that, and had this really generic photo, and that was of just the band lining up against the wall, and that was their demo tape.
I mean,
you don't really see the words demo tape anymore because all these artists are uploading to Bandcamp now.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, that's kind of how we felt about when we did the Petite League stuff, and we saw like their show from like 2008, and then they were like middle schoolers. So their throw television stuff, a lot of it was just like not generic always, but like let's just do what's popular and try to find our sound and yada yada, and it sounds nice, it sounds decent, but it's never anything too special. And then over time they grow, and we have the ability now to kind of go back and see all of that happening in the past into the real time. And I guess the other reason I'm sharing this is because I feel like this could also be that, but to follow it in real time is exciting. And I hope that this podcast lasts long enough that we can continue to follow Gnosis is Alive in real time if he decides to go this way and really commit himself and put out some amazing shit.
Yeah.
But that's a pie in the sky. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen?
Indeed.
Anyway.
All right. Well, no favorites or least favorites to talk about. We're going to skip over to the next one if you're fine with that, Dominic.
Windows is the best EP. That's all I really have to say.
Same here. Trix.
Let's stick with the theme and let's stick with Chicago and let's do the compilation.
Ooh. Yeah.
Now, I know I picked this, but I feel like someone here has a lot more reason to be the one to do an introduction and really kind of deserves to do it, so I'm going to completely disregard them as well and make Trix do it.
Okay, this is a compilation that's like LGBTQ+. Is it based around the Chicago area? I don't remember.
I do my research with these comps. I can tell you all about where these bands are from. Only Weekend Run Club is from Chicago.
Fair enough. But yeah, Weekend Run Club's in it, and that's why it was picked.
Dominic, you can do your introduction as well, because I feel like you have a lot to say about this.
So, Satan Records is the record label that put this out. It has a lot of queer artists on it, as we said. Satan's out of Richmond, Virginia, and a lot of the artists on here are also from that scene. A lot of them have worked together. A lot of them have networked. And Weekend Run Club has kind of fallen into some of that as well.
I just realized it's Satan.
Yeah, Satan. and it's kind of like, there are some newer artists on here. They're like kind of like with every compilation we've come across. There are some artists that have basically never released much of anything before. There are some artists that have been around for like 10 plus years. Some that are up and coming, some that are just there. Like it really straddles the void here of what is out there. Like I've seen like in like kind of seeing this happen, seeing this come out a few months ago, and seeing the other bands that I've heard of, like Sarah and the Safe Word. We can Roll Club played a show with them, and I'm gonna guess maybe that's kind of how some of this came about. Is that they played together, they liked each other, and so this network was created, and Weekend Run Club was able to do this. A couple of them were from the UK. A lot of them are from like Georgia, Tennessee, Birmingham, and that's the UK. But like the impressive things I think are how it's a punk album, and it kind of feels like a Tony Hawk soundtrack sometimes. It's not always about that. It's not all that.
Yeah.
But it goes hard for a number of these tracks.
Oh, it does.
Like
my favorite part about this album,
yeah.
well, just non-musically, was looking up all these artists and finding just like the stuff that they have done, or like just the actual tracks and stuff. Like the opening song is done by a band called Dog Park Dissidents.
Yeah.
And they have an album called A Cab for Cutie.
Yes.
Or EP, sorry, called A Cab for Cutie. And the last song in there is RuPaul's Frack Race.
Yes. It's great.
That was fucking fantastic to just discover that. I haven't even listened to it, but I just go like, yeah, that's pretty fucking funny. And then you see other ones like bands that haven't gone for a while, like Mixtape Saints has nothing on Spotify since 2018.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these are songs, by the way, that weren't just released for this compilation. Some of them are re-released songs.
Yep, like the Cheerleaders cover, Dead Oaks is a Now cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From like 2020.
Oh, but that's what I was meaning. It's like some of them not even covers, they're just stuff that's on here.
Yeah. And like that's fine. I guess I prefer when they're newer, but like I can't,
it was a charity compilation.
Yeah.
You gotta get it.
You just get a variety of like that was on Through the Soil. I think probably Crywink had some of that. But it's interesting seeing all these different bands kind of uniting under like this queer LGBTQ plus banner, and like how different they are and how the same they are, kind of talking about a lot of stuff and the differences there are between them. And as we talked about, I think I just like that modern metal sound that you two seem to hate.
Yeah, I don't like that modern metal sound.
That Sister Sleep song fucking goes hard, and it is what I wanted Motionless in White to be.
Well, that's what I said as well. I said, like, yes. I'm not into this, but Motionless in White would have been a lot better if it sounded.
I thought that the track was great. I'm so surprised that Sister Sleep is basically a band that started this year. Their sound is very polished and very, like, up there. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
And, like, kind of seeing, like, their song was... someone won the air guitar championships by playing their song. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, and then they started celebrating that Flavor Flav was one of the judges, and went, "Oh, we're so close to Flavor Flav." It's like, yeah, that's not the person you want to be close to.
I don't even think it was a judge. I think he was just there.
Yeah. For those who don't know, search up Flavor Flav on Wikipedia and go to the controversy tab.
Just like Azalea Banks, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
a lot of talk.
But I think
I just want to point out my favorite thing is that my dad hates a lot of rap artists and stuff, and always says, "Oh yeah, they're just a bunch of songs about singing about beating up women and stuff." And then ironically, he will always go, "I liked Public Enemy though for some reason."
Well,
like, yeah, Dad, yeah, you really took the right one out of all of them, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think our biggest surprise was when we found that the band Sarcasm did an album EP with Awake But Still in Bed a little bit.
And it was all of covers, wasn't it?
All They Might Be Giants covers, I believe, yes.
Yeah, and what was... I'm trying to look at what that album was called again. It was so funny.
It's in the chat.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. It's one of those, like... I looked at it and I was like, holy shit, that's cool. And now I forgot the goddamn name. Man, I'm really good at my studies on it.
Indeed.
It's called They Might Be Covers. God, that's
yes.
easier to remember.
And like there are other ones that have like a more defined scene or like a more defined image, like middle-aged queers. I wonder what that's about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're a Bay Area group that's like, oh man, all these other bands that were not as popular have come together, and now they're playing with the Long Shot and Agent Orange and all these other older bands, and it's like, well, the Long Shot's actually just a Green Day spin-off band. Let's relax here.
Yeah.
But there's a Jurassic Punk scene, I guess, in which they want to bring back the old sound, the old ways, celebrate
Which,
the oldness of punk.
I'm totally for.
I am also for that, but I feel like when you make it your conscious image to this degree, it's a little bit tryhardy.
I get you.
Now, the one thing I want to talk about is the main reason, obviously, why I picked up this this compilation for the week is the Weekend Run Club song "Strangers" on here, which is, from everything I can see, a new song.
As far as I know, yes. I don't even know if it's the old lineup, the new lineup. I tried to get some word on what the lineup even is at this point, because
inside information.
Most of the band left, and there is a lineup, and they are playing shows, but I don't know their names.
This is like as good as the peak on their album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's if this is one of the older songs, it should have been on Zoo.
It should have been on Zoo if it was an older
Absolutely.
song.
I think the song's great.
And it's not even a whole just like remove something from Zoo kind of thing. It's just should have added it to Zoo. It's genuinely at this point for me the third best Weekend Run Club. I don't think I like it more than Always or Rhode Island personally. I know other people would probably still think Let's Think Back is the better Weekend Run Club song as well.
Sometimes it's also very good.
I personally think this is better than those.
I mean, hey, it's the track that's like I wish this was longer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want more Weekend Run Club.
The outro is just really good to it.
Yeah. Like it it's the only like really alt rock indie cut I feel like that's really here, and it fucking slays. It's like Mitchell is just a really good, and like the band is really cohesive now, and I really dig that. I hope that's the band going forward, you know?
Yeah, if that's new and that's the new band and everything like that, that practically squashes any fears.
Indeed.
Like if we have OK Cool and Weekend Run Club being their best separated from each other, and it was for the best, then holy shit, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
Now that OK Cool is like opening for a bunch of big acts and getting a lot more attention, I want Weekend Run Club to kind of have that moment in the sun too.
Yeah.
It's a great compilation, as you said. Yeah, there's quite a lot of like it's weird after you only listen to the Weekend Run Club song going into this. You get really surprised that this is mostly just a punk comp.
Like the Dead Format song really fucks. So nice, it's so good, and it's so short, and it's just like that really good quick punch in the face. But then you get like other weirder songs, like the Madison Turner song Ideas, that it's very like kind of the idea of like, oh, I'm writing all this down, maybe I'll use it in a song, and it's kind of like these loose connected ideas that still end up being kind of catchy, like having your dead friend's birthday show up in Facebook and we recommend this JPEG of a cake.
It's also just like so weird to see the popularity of some of these artists as well compared to others. Like you look at Dead Format, they have 37 monthly listeners, and then Dog Park Dissonance before them have 26.3k, and Sarah and the Safe Word have 113k.
Yeah.
That like some of these people have more monthly followers than some of these bands have total listeners.
Yeah, like a band like Last Ride has like no presence at all, and this is like their third song, second chronologically, I think at this point. So I would love to know how they source these acts. Like, how do they go about it? Is it a submission process? Is it a hey, we know people? Because like how like it's such a range, and Through the Soil was the same way of newer acts, older acts, like I was saying.
It's like Decide by Friday as well. Yeah, they're the ones that end this compilation. They had 2 songs before this.
Yeah,
and 11 monthly listeners. So they're like, if we go down and check how much I've got per fucking check on here, is my Spotify stuff is still up on here? Yeah, it is. Thank you. I have 2 monthly listeners, so they only have 9 more listeners per month than me. Which, you know, obviously, if you go into percentages here, there's a lot of. But when you think about it, as well in there. It's like, really, we're both just got absolutely nothing. And that's the type of artists that are on here. You got artists that no one has ever heard of, basically, here.
Yes.
And an artist that are pretty well known in the scene. So this isn't just some kind of like, this isn't some kind of, 5 people who all know each other in different bands kind of filling up a compilation. This is a serious kind of, like, near documentary of the scene in an album.
Yes, and showing it in different parts of, here are some more established people, here are the new generation, and it's all mixed together in a way where you can't tell unless you do the research.
Yeah,
which I think really works for it.
It does.
This is one of the better compilations that we've done.
I think it's the best
over
one.
this podcast.
Indeed.
I think it's the best one.
I still like the Cry Rank one a lot, but I'm very 50-50 on which one's better. I don't know. Maybe I think I need a little bit more time, but you might be.
Worth noting that our average listening has gone up to like probably 30 views a month.
Hell yeah.
So we are doing better than some of these acts.
We are, which is weird to say.
I will say as well, the one compilation which I think that we've done over on the podcast that probably still beats us no matter what, probably Through the Soil.
I mean, Through the Soil is exhaustive and is much more explorational of the indie lo-fi bedroom pop scene.
Yeah, but there's still so much good in there that it makes up for the exhaustion.
Yes, yes. But I think for what this is, 16 tracks and so many of them hit, like I can see a number of these tracks getting on my top songs of the year.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like this is going to rank super high for me, surprisingly.
I get you.
And like Mexican Wine is my favorite song on here, and we didn't even talk about it because there's so many other good songs.
Yeah.
Like you want to do a quick talk about it before we do favorites and least favorites?
It's just a really good track. It's got like some string. It's got some emotional resonance. It's just
how good is the name of fucking Sarah and the Safe Word? Is such a great band.
Oh yeah,
it is.
It's fucking phenomenal, and I'm glad that Weekend Run Club, planted the seed in my mind that they existed. Like I didn't see the show, but now I'm definitely aware of them. It's my favorite track on here. I just think it's a classically structured pop-ish like indie rock song, or I don't even know what genre you even call it necessarily, but like everything about it is just executed so well, like where each verse gets much more lush and elaborative, and like it has that final verse that's like just kind of swathed in the heavenly vocals and the strings, and it just really hits in a good way.
That reminded me as well, because the first thing one of the first albums that's actually going to go onto my 2023 circuit is actually going to be Conditional Love by Sarcasm here, because look at the release date, that comes out December 2nd.
Yes.
Fair enough.
And that's just after that. So that's they've got one out that's coming out pretty soon. Obviously by the time that this episode's released, it's been a couple of weeks, so someone's mentally just going like, you stupid idiot, it's like the 21st or something.
Yes, this is recorded on the 27th of November, so we are still in the 2022.
Still barely in the 2022 circuit. Only barely, but we're in there.
Yeah,
I need to update the time on my laptop because it says that it's 11:20 on the 26th. Oops.
Oh, oops.
I'm gonna do that now.
I do think that the album you said Sarah and the Saver has an album coming out, right?
No, that was Sarcasm.
Okay, so I thought you said they both were having one, but yeah, Sarcasm I am very interested in. It's checking that one out. Because this is one of the bands that's been around for a while too. Like their releases go back to like 2012. So very curious like what they've been up to over all this time. They're out there in Berkeley, California.
Indeed.
Favorites?
Cool shit. Oh, I'll start. Dead Formats, Soho Nights. I really like Sarah and the Safe Words, Mexican Wine. That's probably my favorite one. We Can Run Club, Strangers, and Sister Sleeps Exist Without. 9-5-52. Those are probably my top favorites. My least favorite's probably the Cheerbleeders Dead Oaks cover, or like Tombstone by Last Ride.
I agree with the favorites except for Sister Sleeps Exist Without, which is actually my least.
Before I get into favorites and least favorites, I just have a bone to pick with just how I had to access this album.
Yeah.
It is not on YouTube Music, and I could not find like other streaming outside of Spotify. And in order to listen to this album, I had to buy or like I not buy it. There was a name your price, but I had to get the digital edition.
A
And
donate one, yeah.
yeah, and it was a pain in the ass, and like I had to give them my fucking address for some reason to buy it.
Send you a zine, I think.
No, I didn't pay any money,
Oh.
so I declined the zine. I just wanted the digital release.
Fair enough. I bought it through iTunes. It's also on Apple Music.
But yeah, favorites for me.
I sent over $5 for sorry, I think I sent over $1, sorry. Actually, to see if I could get the digital one. And I didn't, so I've got even more of a bone. And it's like, yeah, that $1 from Australia? Yeah, no thank
and it's an Australian dollar, so it's only like what, 66 cents here in the States.
I think it was a United States.
It was a US dollar?
Yeah, I think.
Gotcha. But favorites for me, I'm gonna go with the Weekend Run Club song, the Sarcasm song, and the Middle Aged Queer song.
All right.
And least favorites, Sister Sleep.
It's good, damn it.
And also the Madison Turner Ideas song was pretty good too.
Now we've got 3 EPs to cover here.
Indeed.
Trix, we're doing one at a time, but we'll kind of speed through them. But still, what's the first one we're covering?
Thelma Plum.
Yeah, so you got high here, thought that you listened to the wrong one, but now I'm assuming in the end that you actually listened to the right one.
I did listen to the right one. I actually sent this EP to my mom, and she likes it. This is like completely up my mom's alley.
You ready for my take, Dominic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
It's great.
Good EP.
Yeah.
I like it. I really
the only song I don't like that much is Brown Snake. Everything else fucking is great.
Brown Snake is just better in Blackie.
Sure, I guess.
I don't know if lyrically it is, but the actual instrumentation it's better in Blackie.
I mean, I think that like my understanding is that Thelma Plum was like one of the original artists to get COVID when that was starting to be a thing.
Yeah.
And she was recording her second album at the time and had to come home, and so this EP kind of came out of that. So this is a lot about Brisbane, which is I don't know how to pronounce the actual title. Meanjin.
It could be either of them. It is Aboriginal, so
that's the Aboriginal name of Brisbane.
Yeah, I've never actually said it personally myself, so I couldn't tell you the exact right.
So this is all about her memories and her childhood and just things that happened in her life, like Baby Blue Bicycle, which has phenomenal vocals. So good. Like I said, I fucking hate that these are all good ass picks from you, Ritz.
Yeah.
Yep. Had to end it on a banger somehow, don't I?
Indeed.
I don't even remember Back in Black that much. Like I remember it being fine and good, but this is so much better. I think
this is better as a full effort. I still think there are some moments where it goes like I wish there was a little bit more done on there. Like this isn't gunning for EP of the year or anything. I might take it into my top 10 though. We'll see, because I still do actually like this a lot more than I expected. To like this, which but I mean my top EPs list is going to be actually pretty wild now, because I've had a lot more album listening this year, so like it's going with the EPs. It's like what have I actually listened to? And then I realized that there was one EP that I had listened to that I was supposed to bring up this week and forgot to do, and that probably could have gone. That would have been the Speed EP. That's the band that's going to open for Turnstile when they're here.
Well, we have one more episode, so whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I might attach it onto it.
It's really good. I kind of
you immediately said fuck you to me when you listened to it.
Yes.
Yeah, like I think it was like a day after you just Let's see.
I like listened to all of it, as quickly as I could just to get like familiar with the material.
Yeah.
It's like fuck, this compilation is really good. Fuck, Thelma Plum really pulled through. Oh, this Wombats EP is really good. Oh wow, Tropical Fuckstorm did some shit on this EP. Holy shit.
20 seconds. So 2 days. It took you 2 days to tell me to fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good man. It's the only thing that I go about this EP really now when I say like I wish it would bring more is like obviously I said with the Brown Snake it's just better and black again, and I don't think the rest of the songs are the actual album again done. But I was hoping there would be a bit more, since it's an EP, a bit more experimentation in the sound.
Sure.
And we'll see like a bit more. I'm not doing this as a complaint of the EP itself. I'm doing this as a whole kind of like bit more hope that I had coming into this. This more feels like it was a continuation of the album. Is it still better in a way of more consistency? Oh, it's a shorter release, so yeah. It doesn't feel like a B-side to the album, which is the crazy part. It feels like it's actually a continuation.
Yeah, it's the new release. It's not.
Yeah.
I think being 3 years later, it also helps that. Better Black was a 2019 album.
Yeah, it was. It's a weird part to think about it, and this is actually her first kind of proper release since then. In 2020, we had the cover of These Days. About it. That's all we had from Thelma.
And Better in Black
it's kind of crazy
album.
to think.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy to think that she also held the record for the highest place that anyone of Aboriginal descent had gotten in the Hottest 100 for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, which might sound like a much, but actually isn't, because that's only 2 countdowns. Like it was the 2019 one in which she got it, and then the next year in the 2020, and then Kid Leroy got second last year. So that's actually a new record.
Oh, he's of Aboriginal descent. I didn't know that.
He obviously it's not as a direct as Thelma, but I believe it's not as direct. Could be wrong about that. I need to actually search that up before I speak. I think it is still pretty like pretty close to that. I couldn't remember if it was father or grandfather.
Great grandfather.
Either way, he is still part Aboriginal. That's not really anything you could argue.
Sure.
Personal life. I swear Wikipedia would have had it on there. Early years, early life. Great grandfather.
Yeah. That's cool though. It's nice to see that.
Leroy is actually based off Gimilroy.
Yeah.
He's quite connected.
Which is great. That's awesome.
And I'm searching up Thelma Plum in here, like it's kind of a contest to see how much more direct blood did he have.
I mean,
I think Thelma's actually just I think both her parents are.
I believe so. I think it talks about her father being a lore master or something like that. I can't remember the term right now that was used. A lore man. And as of this recording, she just released a compilation of her first 2 EPs. So it's kind of fun that we're covering this now.
Of both Rosie and Monsters, which I was kind of surprised that would get released as a compilation again, like digitally. I get it physically because both Rosie and Monsters have not been available physically for a while now, and Thelma's definitely blown up in popularity since 2013/2014 when these were both released.
Yeah.
I think I actually found Monsters at a video for like $1 or something. I'm pretty sure I do have it. Not on my computer though, if I'm correct. Might be going to absolutely check this before I check yourself before you wreck yourself kind of thing here.
She's also been pretty good at like what's the word I'm looking for? She hasn't like pushed it too far. Like
I do have it on my computer.
She's definitely like kept her career on a trajectory, but she's never like done too much. Like the EPs were 2013, 2014, the album was 2019, and there was some stuff in between, of course, but and this being the first thing since then, really, other than like the Powderfinger cover and a couple other things. Like it's there's a pace and a rhythm to it that I appreciate. That like she doesn't need to prove anything. She's quite talented.
Yeah.
I mean, she's done a lot of like featured singing stuff during that time as well. Like I remember 2016, she she featured on Tucker's cover of Big Jet Plane, which was actually pretty popular around here for a bit as well.
Yep. And she was on Golden Features song, Alice Ivy,
Yep.
Briggs.
Can't remember what was it Golden Features. I think it was No One or something. It was.
Yes, it was.
Oh my god. I remember how it goes. It's just what I just title. Well, apparently I did.
But it talks about how for this EP, like Fleetwood Mac and all those stuff like that, Phoebe Bridgers were like inspirations, and I hear it, and it's good.
Yeah,
like this is a good mode for her.
It is. I really enjoyed the CV.
Like When It Rains It Pours is a very Fleetwood Mac-esque track.
I'm still debating if it's When It Rains It Pours or Backseat of My Mind, which is probably the best song off here. I feel like very early, even though Brown Snake's probably my least favorite, I feel like it still peaks very early, but it's not an insult to the second.
Yeah.
I think the second half, she definitely is a good storyteller in her songs. In fact, like you saw in 2019, even though I wasn't still big on the album, I thought Nick Cave was the best song with that album by far, and that was just her telling a very simple story. But I think she did it in a really nice, chill, and kind of comical way that I thought it was the best off that, and that's why I do also like Baby Blue Bicycle, where she is kind of just a story on that song as well. I think it's where I think she really peaks.
Yeah,
it's when she just decides to tell a story, whether it be a simple story, if it actually be anything important or not. I think that's just where she peaks, and that's why I also like Homecoming. Was one of the better songs of her album as well, which that one was obviously, it talked about beauty standards and stuff growing up, and obviously not feeling like that because all the magazines are full of white people and stuff, but she was talking about it in her own kind of like personal experience and story way, which kind of made it a bit more captivating. I think she's just really good at that.
She and Beach Bunny should collaborate.
Yeah.
That's like the topic of two of their hit songs, is kind of the homecoming queen thing. Prom queen.
Indeed.
But no, I think Baby Blue Bicycle is a really good example of how confident she is in her storytelling and how she lets the vocal melody kind of keep you hooked, but also she's just telling a story pretty straightforward and keeping you engaged in that way as well. And that makes the song really work on different levels. And like Bars on My Windows is probably the other song in here I'm not going to remember as much. Well, like even the Bat song is like a cute little ending track. Like it's nothing special, but it's just got like kind of cute moments that I remember.
Yeah.
Favorites on here, we'll just go with the middle three songs then, from When It Rains It Pours to Baby Blue Bicycle. Least favorite, Brown Snake.
Agreed.
Trix, what's the next EP?
Let's go with probably my least favorite of the three, Moonburn. Tropical Fluxstorm.
I'm surprised that's your least favorite.
I did not click with this one as much as I did other Tropical Fluxstorm.
See, it took me a little bit to get into Moonburn itself, but I kind of like Moonburn now. It kind of has their style. It reminds me of Laughing Death and Meat Space, but I think that works still.
I'm actually more surprised because of the last track on here, Heaven, which is I believe it's a Talking Heads cover.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's not my favorite cover. I mean, it's decent. I like the Ann Stooges cover a lot more. Like, oh my god, that cover goes fucking hard.
And Anne was the single to the CD.
Yes, and like from everything, the way this looks, this is just something they kind of threw together originally as like a 7-inch single that was supposed to be Moonburn and Anne, and then it's like, well, with everything going the way it is with like records, let's beef this up a little bit for like a cassette release and stuff.
Heaven had been released before,
yes,
under the single for Legal Ghost, which is was the B-side for that. So it's kind of weird to see it get re-released here, and then Legal Ghost isn't a part of this. So this isn't some kind of like putting all the singles together here. It's just they randomly added that cover back onto this. But
then they also did an acoustic version of Aspirin too, and like that sounds like a live cut. So it's throw some stuff in there, put it out. It's basically an enhanced Moonburn single, but it's counted as an official EP.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, at the moment we don't really really know if this will go into anything. Well, if this turns out just to be a single and then they release an album based off it, I think that would be we've reviewed a single here, but for now, I'm treating this as it's an EP because it basically is.
Yeah.
It's not the reason I fell in love with Tropical Fuckstorm. A Laughing Death and Weed Space is still quite a huge peak compared to the stuff that they've released since, but this is definitely a lot better than GAFF and better than Satanic Slumber Party as well.
Yeah, I did not like Satanic Slumber Party myself, so I'm glad that this is a lot better to me.
It's kind of harder to talk about than it is the Thelma Plum. Kind of like shorter in track rise, and Tropical Fuckstorm is a lot slower. So they're both around the same length, actually.
Yes.
In a
as is the Wombats.
Time wise, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just good psychedelic blues rock. 20 minutes. It's got a couple covers here. It's got a live cut, and then Moonburn, the actual proper kind of single here.
Yeah.
But yeah, good release. I don't know how much more to say about it. Tropical Fuckstorm rock.
I just couldn't get into it as much, I guess. It might be one of those slow burners for me, like I'll come back in like 6 months and like really love it,
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, probably wins for most unsettling album cover we've ever had.
Oh, it's fucking great. It's a really wrinkly cat, which has like kind of like a smile in its cheeks, but it's frowning on the actual
and it's got human lips.
Yeah.
I do know that they just finished touring again. They toured a couple times this year, and I think this kind of came out in between tours. So maybe they just kind of ran to the booth and put one out and kind of put stuff around it to put something out. But it's amazing to me that this is outpaced what the drones are doing. Like,
well, the drones are basically broken up at this point.
Right, but they were talking about how they just went to Europe and like it was sold out a lot, and they were no longer having to face the reality of maybe no one's coming. Apparently, the drones had to deal with quite a bit of that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Unfortunately.
And like this is just blown up in a way that other band had not. So if this is where they find the happiness and continue making music this way, I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
Favorites, probably Anne. I'll agree with you as well. No least favorite.
The Talking Heads cover was pretty good.
I love Anne. I think Moonburn's pretty good. My least favorite's probably Aspirin.
All right. Well, we've only got one more EP.
Yeah.
Indeed, the Wombats.
Now, Dominic, by that way that you've gone, yeah, it sounds like you're really excited, and you'd think maybe I'd let you do another intro here.
I don't want to.
So I will. No, I'm making you.
Get fucked. Is this what it feels like to feel like this? Is this what it feels like to feel like this? Oh, damn.
Yep.
The B-side EP collection from their earlier album of the year, Fix Yourself Not the World, an album that we did not listen to.
Covered.
I have not listened to it. We did not cover it. You probably listened to it, though. You listen to a lot. But, we're in the Wombats peak phase of they've finally had a #1 record. They have sold out the O2 Arena in London. They are at the height of their career. And I hope it lasts for a while.
In Australia, as well, by the way. They're currently touring here again. Second time.
Yeah. And my understanding is that this EP is just full of tracks that did not make the album.
And I'll start off with my introduction here by saying we've now covered the Wombats twice. Covered their earliest album and now the newest EPs. We're basically on both sides of this, and for me, I've listened to everything. And now you two have basically only listened to both ends of their career.
I listened to some Glitterbug.
I like the newer stuff.
This EP is way better than the album. Like, the album had some good songs on there. I'm talking about Fix Yourself Not the World, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I liked If You Ever Leave, I'm Coming With You, and Method to the Madness. Everything I Love Is Going to Die, and Flip Me Upside Down. So there was actually a couple songs in there which I was like, yeah, these are some really strong highlights, but then the rest of the album kind of flat for me. I thought it was not the strengths that the Wombats could do, but this EP is a lot fucking better than it as a full experience. Is this what it feels like to feel like this? The actual title song is a better song than anything of that album.
Wow.
In my opinion, I think it's really fucking catchy. I like that they're trying to be a bit more complex with the guitar. I think it's a really good pop rock song that they haven't done a good pop rock song like that in a while.
Reminds me of like Britpop of like the 2000s.
Mm. They obviously talk a lot with their the good old insult that's always been done to the lead singer here by calling him Metaphor Murphy. He's definitely still alive with that with that character on this album as well. And there's still obviously there's kind of like you've got to make some lines here that are, kind of cheesy. Like the first track on this, I think my mind has made its mind up.
I think my mind has made its mind up.
But the important thing about this EP is that it's just really danceable. It's really fun. It's a great collection of songs here.
Yeah.
Why weren't any of this on the album? I genuinely want to know that because there is some really peak Wombat songs on here.
Yeah, like Demon's pretty good. Title track's really good. Yeah. Was it not Good Damage? The Same Old Damage.
Same Old Damage, yeah.
That's
good idea
really...
at the time was able.
Yeah, was like they're all good. Is the thing.
Yeah.
Like this is like all bangers.
Yes.
And it's a pretty varied. Like we talked just about the Thelma Plum one, which you said like it sounded like a continuation of Better and Black on here. And this one, it doesn't really feel like a continuation of Fix Yourself Not the World as well. It's a pretty varied EP, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For what is basically still just pop rock. And it was when I was happy when they released the Beat Is Dead Sides compilation that they did at the end of 2019 on Christmas, because then we had that full release of all the B-sides and stuff that they did for basically the start of their career till Beautiful People Will Ruin Your Life era. And their B-sides have always just sometimes they've just been better than a lot of songs in their albums. Like Avalanche, the re-recording of Metro's song, Motophobia, Mosquito on the Wall, those have always been fucking classic, and those are just songs that are pretty much just disregarded as B-sides. Circuit Board City, that was another one on there. And it's kind of like sometimes I think when I listen to the Wombats and they put their songs together and stuff, I just want to start one of them and say this one's better, put it on there.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of amazing in a way for a band than that. They've been around for almost 20 years now. Been the same three people, and it's only at this point that they're reaching, the most success and attention they've ever had. Like, you compare other bands that were in this era at this point, like Radiohead was putting out The King of Limbs when they were turning 20 almost, and what else? Muse was fucking doing Will of the People or some shit, or the one before that. I can't even remember the title of it right now.
The one, which one are you talking about from Muse?
Yeah, the one before the new one. Simulation Theory. That's what they were doing when they turned 20.
Yeah.
So to see a band that's been consistently critically receptive to this point and getting to this point commercially is really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still convinced the only reason Australia initially picked them up and just kept listening was because they were called the Wombats, but I'll never complain about that.
Fair enough.
It's one of the because there was a news story. There was a news story recently where Deliveroo is pulling out of Australia, and a lot of people here were like, "Wait, Deliveroo isn't Australian," and now some people are only finding out the amount of Australian-sounding things that aren't actually Australian. Pretty funny. Anyway, Dominic, as you were saying.
Something like they sing about marsupials. I think I thought they were Australian when I first heard about them.
Just because they're called the Wombats.
Probably.
And a wombat is an Australian animal. When you hear someone use the word marsupial, you might think, but I don't think we don't call them marsupials too much. We just go, that's a fucking whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure.
It's a pest.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think this EP is great. It's not my favorite EP that we've listened to this week, but it's sure pretty up there. Everything you've picked has been bangers, and I am upset about it, but I will get over it. because we have one episode left for this year.
Indeed.
Yeah, if only I was picking something insignificant for next week.
Same.
Oh, wow. Well, favorites off here. I think my mind has made its mind up. Dress to Kill, Demon. Is this what it feels like to feel like this? Least favorite, probably good idea at the time.
I like it all. No least favorites.
Same.
Alright, rankings this week. Who wants to start? You know what? Actually, I make everyone else start. I'll start for once. Least favorite. I'm just gonna have to pick as Gnosis is alive because I didn't hate anything this week, so it doesn't get anything to sneak past. So sorry about that. Next one after that is probably going to be just looking at everything we've fucking done, and this is where it gets this is the harshness of it. It's going to be fucking Tropical Fuckstorm is second last.
Damn.
And then probably Thelma Plum right after that. Then it's going to be A Farewell to Kings.
All right.
Then it's going to be the Wombats. Then it's going to be the Never Erased compilation.
All right.
Then it's going to be Hemispheres. Then it's going to be Wildflower.
Fair enough.
Very different.
Mine is too.
Trix, you go ahead.
At the bottom, I have the Avalanches. Then it's Tropical Fuckstorm. Gnosis is alive. The Wombats. Never Erased. A Farewell to Kings. Thelma Plum. And then Hemispheres.
All right. And I've ranked everything as usual. So, bottom of the bottom, Gnosis is alive EP. Then we got December EP. Then Crutches EP. Then Windows EP. Then I'm going to put Wildflower. After that, we're going to do A Farewell to Kings. Then Moonburn, Wombats, Thelma Plum, Hemispheres, and Never Erased. That's the top.
All right.
Well, that is a crazy week.
And now we're on to the
Crazy
finale,
week.
folks. This is
God.
the big guns. This is the pull out all the stops. We're going to cover all this shit, and then we're going to go over everything we listened to this year, which is a ton, and pick our bests and leasts and all the lists and songs.
Next week's is our last of the year.
And it's going to be probably 4 hours again.
Yep. And then the week after that, I'm hosting my top 100. So we'll get the full recap of everything I liked that year, which is why I didn't want to do anything for 2022, but I did forget an EP. I did forget one. So I'm going to start off with the EP that I'm going to cover, but I'm going to come back last after you two have picked as well for what my actual pick is going to be. So we're going to cover Speed's A Game Called Speed as the final 2022 record that I'm doing for the year.
So it's called Speed EP?
It's called A Game Called Speed.
Okay.
By the band Speed.
Fair. Then we're going to come back to you. Trix?
I'm going to be doing an album called Roll the Bones.
That sounds about right.
By Shaky Graves.
The first one.
Yes.
This feels like...
I'm going to be doing another album called Roll the Bones. By Rush.
Now, Roll the Bones is only on Spotify for Shaky Graves' Roll the Bones X. I don't know if I could do this again.
It's on Bandcamp.
Yeah, the original on Bandcamp.
You really had to end the year like this, didn't you?
I did.
And, well, I'm going to insist on you do the 2022 single that Shaky Graves put out.
Okay, and I also am adding on the music video for Rush's Roll the Bones. It is mandatory.
Okay, but then the single Ready or Not with Sierra Farrell, it's the 2022 release by Shaky Graves.
Yeah.
So, we might as well cover all of it if we're covering all of it.
Cover it all.
I think we're missing an EP in there from his release stuff, but we can do that next year.
Yeah, we can.
Meanwhile, I have 2 albums I'm picking that, for me, are kind of wintry albums. I used to get a song and each of them confused for the other song, if that makes sense. So they've always been connected in my mind. And they're 2 heavy hitters. So, number 1, we're going to be doing The Color and the Shape by Foo Fighters.
All right.
Number 2, we're doing Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age.
I can't believe you're doing my favorite albums from when I was in 2nd grade.
I got Everlong and Go with the Flow so confused so often when I was younger.
This is the This is the pure, I was born in the wrong generation, but yet I'm playing Guitar Hero and getting all my songs from that playlist, and I love it.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is now the big reveal, and by big reveal, I mean I've already spoiled it for Trix and Dominic many times over the week.
Right.
But there's an artist that I covered more this year than I had in any of the other years, and that's Tism.
Yes.
And we're finally doing the last kind of big album before everything else that we go into Tism basically becomes B-sides compilations and live shows and everything like that. But I'm also attaching onto it. I've talked about how the big reason that I got into Tism is it's one of the few bands, first band, that me and my dad connected with, as my dad was a fan of Tism when they were still around and was going to concerts and stuff like that. And he actually found something that I've now found online. And that was when tism.ranker.com, which is the album that we're doing, got released. They also released some comics. They released exactly 2 issues.
Nice.
And he had the second one. And I found that second one online. And that is a mandatory read.
Okay.
But the also challenge to do is we also need to find the first comics.
That we do.
And then we need to read them. And that's going... You'd think I would go back to Tism's White Album through all that stuff that you two missed out on, but I don't care because we're just doing the comics, and we're doing www.tism.wanker.com. You can listen to the deluxe if you want. I don't really care.
I'll listen to whatever on YouTube.
We'll figure it out.
That's the spirit.
So, that means if everyone said everything they want to say for the final episode of this 2022 of Dissonant Waves. Yes?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. We have Ritz is doing an EP called Speed by Speed, the last 2022 selection. Also, www.tism.wanker.com, plus the comics. We have issue 2. We gotta find issue 1. I have chosen the Foo Fighters, The Color and the Shape, as well as Queens of the Stone Age's Songs of the Death. And Trix has chosen Roll the Bones, both by Shaky Graves and by Rush, and the Ready or Not single with Sierra Farrell, and of course, Rush's Roll the Bones music video.
Mm-hmm.
This has been episode 120 of Dissonant Waves. 121 will be next, and then we will take a hiatus, per usual. I've been Dominic. You can catch me online at DACICHOCKI on Twitter. I'm on YouTube, Dominic Chakotay. If you really want to check me out there, there's not much to say, but oh well. I'm on the Games My Mom Found podcast. You can find me there. Might have some things to say about Metroid Dread by the time this releases.
I have been Riddlin. You can catch me on my website, riddlinforkids.github.io. I might have actually found a Tism comic, so maybe that challenge will just come into reading it.
Yeah. I have been Trix. You can find me online on Twitter, if Twitter is still around by the time this episode comes out. I also I'm available all over the place. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, dissonantwaves.space, and buy our merch. Buy a clock with our logo on it.
Wear merch.
I'm plugging that clock until somebody buys it.
I need some holiday gifts, so maybe.
Give him a clock with your logo on it.
I'll give him the puzzle.
Yeah.
That's just the 4 pieces of our logo and then a white space.
Indeed. Well, you can select how many pieces it is, so...
1,000.
Yes.
Anyway, that's going to do it for us then this week at Dissonant Waves. We are almost done with the year. Expect next episode to be lengthy.
Expect it to be long and girthy and thick and juicy. I don't know where I'm going with this.